My hand curled around the back of the box and felt paper. It was a book. I grabbed it and pulled it above my eyes where I could see it. Embossed in black amongst the yellow scales was a title. The King in Yellow. I stared at the playbook. How had it gotten there? It was held shut by a golden ribbon, but that would only take a second to undo it. I started to reach for it, my fingers feeling the soft silk. Suddenly, a bird screeched a horrid caw. I jumped, almost dropping the book on my face. Far away, sat in the big jeweled tree, a strange, mangy-looking magpie stared at me. I thought of the feathers in the basement. It was hard to tell at this distance, but it seemed to be staring right at me, its wide eyes reflecting white moonlight like mirrors. I was about to shout over at it, but it took off and flapped away into the darkness of the night. I lay in the field a while longer and watched the woolly sheep munch on the grass, the King in Yellow held tightly against my chest. Eventually, I managed to pull myself up and started the long trek back to my room. I messaged Nikita and told her to meet me in the morning. She was still awake, presumably working on her campaign. She seemed pretty set on retrieving the King in Yellow right then, but when I told her I wasn't going to get back out of bed, she begrudgingly agreed to wait. I shoved the play into my bag and turned my phone off, eventually settling into a disturbed sleep. My dreams were dark and confused. I stood with Heidi in darkness. She stared ahead into the bleak emptiness. A hooded figure in a red cloak approached, their face hidden behind a white mask. They stood in front of us before reaching for the face, pulling the mask away to reveal myself. They smiled at me before crumpling to the floor as if thrown by some invisible force, their body twisted and broken. Where my doppelganger had stood was a new figure, also cloaked. Underneath its hood was the face of a creature I couldn't describe. It was shrouded in darkness, but exuded wrongness. The figure's eyes seemed to glow yellow as they started to grin cruelly. The light of their eyes quickly drowned out the darkness. The scene collapsed into itself when I stood in the abandoned basement. I saw myself as a skeleton, a golden glow surrounding me as I turned to dust and cackled maniacally. The horrible, dirty bird looked down at me from the top of a withered tree with branches like tangled thorns. It opened its beak to caw at me, but no sound came out. The bird broke into wisps of cloud vapor and dissolved into the dark night. I looked down at my hands, and in my hands was the King in Yellow. The bird's caw finally sounded, and I looked up. Where was once the tree was now a misty shoreline. In front of me was a spire of gleaming ivory, but before my eyes I saw it rot and decay. Behind the terrible city was a great moon. Mist dripped from it as it emerged from a lake of cloud. The black stars of the Hyades hung above me, pinpricks of oil in the red sky. Watching me from across leagues of rolling white waves stood the solitary figure of the King in Yellow. It seemed to travel towards me, closer and closer, as his tattered wrappings flapped in the wind. His long, bony arms stretched to remove the pallid mask, and I knew I had found myself on the path to a truly terrible fate. Oh god, that alliteration is really kicking my ass, huh? Time for some water. I woke up. It was 9 a.m., several hours earlier than I would normally wake up, but after that nightmare I was glad to be conscious. Nikita liked to tell me after waking up late, so I assumed she wouldn't be expecting me awake for a few hours. My head still felt stuffy, so I decided to walk around the university grounds to get some air. And clean the fucking cereal off your floor, that's gross. Nikita is your future, prepare for it. That's like deeply terrifying, Nikita. It was a pleasant morning, a gentle wind blew softly in my weary eyes, a welcome break from the heat wave. Still, it seems like it was going to be another warm summer day. Unfortunate. It was the last thing I needed with my, albinism. I'd have to put a lot of sun shampoo on my fur. Is that the condition that she meant? The uni campus was really nice, albeit a little old-fashioned. It looked like somewhere that would be haunted and actually was, albeit only by the occasional gaunt-looking PhD student. It fucks with your eyesight? Okay. Oh, that makes sense, I guess. Okay, not that I was complaining. Whether my experience in the basement was real or not, I had quite enough of ghosts for now. I walked past the old clock tower. It would have looked a lot more impressive if it wasn't broken. I don't know why you don't replace it with a digital one or something. Although obviously I'm aware that it isn't really your department. That was an attack on your that wasn't an attack on you, faculty admins. Is this entire thing the application? This is very wordy. Can you imagine applying for a extension, and in the middle you're just like, oh, by the way, here's like a weird dream I had the other day. It's like, Trixie. Below that was an old statue of the university's founder, P.H. Lovecraft. He was a speciest dickhead, but now he's dead. I stopped. I found one of Nikita's student presidency posters. It was pretty daunting, though on the plus side she changed her slogan to something slightly less fascist. What was it before? I know that's the joke, but like, seriously, Nikita, you need to relax. Nikita is your future. Prepare for it. Although in retrospect, that might have been worse. There was a box of leaflets under it. Nikita was certainly prepared for next year's election. It was almost a shame the caretakers would probably take this stuff down by next week. I kind of wanted to take a look at one of the leaflets, if just out of morbid curiosity. I want to see. Bluebell University Student Union Presidency Election 2019. Nikita, a manifesto for a stronger world. Bluebell University. Once the 9th highest rated university in the country, now a decaying, ruined institution sitting at a lowly ilth. Is that the word ilth? I can't lilth. 11th? Oh, those are numbers. Why did I try to read that like a word? It's the 11th. This font has really annoying numbers. Okay. It was once the 9th highest rated, now it's the lowly 11th. I thought that was eyes. We're moving on. The student body had become lazy, undisciplined, and led astray by bad leadership, poor facilities, and social societies. But I shall change this. I shall make us strong. Who am I? I am Nikita. I am the top student of the regional history and cultural studies course here at our prestigious university. Okay, I think we're in the same classes as her, so Trixie might also be regional history and cultural studies. Also, there's people like knocking in the hallway on other doors, and that spooked me a little bit. I shall one day be our greatest student union president. This, fellow students, is my promise to you. My enemy candidates may be many, but I assure you all, among them my equals are none. Tabitha Knight especially is a try-hard bitch and will not save us from collapse. You can't just call people a bitch in your pamphlets, Nikita. My 5-point plan for a stronger world. 1. The library must be expanded and opened eternally, so that our minds too may expand. Only through knowledge can we take a rightful place in the world. Too much of the university's budget is spent on frivolous activities, parties, societies, and trips, to name but a few. This must be diverted to improve our facilities. 3. The union has many worthless delegates, the sports officer, the societies officer, and the administrative team, among others. These positions should be dissolved. All power must flow to the executive. What do you? All power must flow to the executive? It's a student council position, Nikita. The student union president should be made a permanent position, lest future presidents veer from my vision and let us back into the abyss. Lead us back into the abyss. 5. We need to fix the vending machine outside Wilbur Hall. It no longer properly dispenses toffee millet bars. Thank you for your time, and remember, a vote for my enemies is a vote for your own destruction. Jeez, Nikita has issues. I tossed the leaflet back into its box. Eventually, I got back to my room and took a quick shower, making sure to cover myself in sun shampoo. I was really lucky not to get burnt yesterday, given how long I was out. Maybe the spores from that cottage rejuvenated skin and left a healthy glow in your fur? Though, looking at my gaunt, tired face in the mirror, I doubted that. I finally got around to cleaning up the cereal I spilled yesterday. Better late than never, I guess. I ended up just fucking about on my laptop to keep my mind off things while I waited for Nikita. There was a sudden knock at my door. Trixie Glimmer's 5th. Stop writing weird monster erotica and open up! I will never stop writing weird monster erotica. Leave me alone. I slammed my laptop shut. I still don't know if she was spying on me or it was just a lucky guess. Coming! I threw some old underwear behind my bed in a vain attempt to seem less disgusting and lurched over to the door. I opened it up and Nikita marched into my room, almost knocking me over. Jeez, hi Nikita. Okay, I have a question. If Nikita's like a deer, why does she have fingers, but Belle has hooves? Just asking. You have the book? Nice to see you too. Cut the crap, Trixie. Where's the play? Fine, whatever. But look, we need to talk about some stuff, okay? Some weird shit happened while I was finding this. I rummaged around in my bag for the book. I'm actually pulling out the scaled yellow tome. Wow. It's really real. For once, Nikita seemed almost speechless. She walked over to me, seemingly unable to wait to get a hold of it. I handed it over, but part of me wanted to keep it for myself, if just for its value. Nikita was about to undo the ribbon and leaf through its pages, but I put my hand on it, stopping her. She shot me an angry look and almost pulled away. Nikita, seriously, we need to talk. I told her everything I remembered about yesterday, my time exploring Daffodil Lane, the missing squirrels, the abandoned cottage. The skulls, the ghost, waking up in a field. I told her I didn't even know where the play had come from. Nikita, I think we need to talk to someone. The police, maybe. There were skulls in that basement. This isn't just some silly thing. Trixie, those skulls were obviously props. You said yourself there's an artist on that road. They always do weird shit like that. And no offense, but the options here are either you, one, you saw a ghost, or two, you, the person who reads ghost porn all day, were sleep deprived, dehydrated, overheating, and breathing mold spores, and imagined a ghost when you saw some spooky props. Then you forgot half the day and fainted in a field after finding the plant in the cottage. It was a good point, but I still felt unsure. I should probably call the police. Like, ACAB, but also, like, people died, and I feel like that's maybe not something you should keep to yourself. Also, I don't want to agree with Nikita because she's awful. No, shut up, Nikita. There were real skulls in that place. I'm phoning the police. I'm sure they're gonna be gone and we're gonna look like an idiot, but I just won't mention the weird stuff. This is serious. It's more important than some dumb story. Nikita's lip visibly curled when I described the King in Yellow as a dumb story. Fine, whatever. Phone the police. When you get arrested for breaking and entering, don't credit me on the phone from your jail cell. I guess that's a good point. I just don't want to agree with you, Nikita. I was pretty certain that she was bluffing. I wouldn't get in trouble for that, right? I dialed the number for the police on my phone, and after a brief wait, an operator picked up. Yes, hi, I'd like to report a suspicious house on Daffodil Lane. The creepy one, yeah, by the woods. Uh-huh. Right. I mean, there was skulls in it. Yeah. No, I mean, I'm sure they're gonna be useless, but, like, we might as well try, because I feel like when you're in a horror thing, the question is always, like, you should at least try to tell someone with... Whatever. I don't know. I don't need to defend myself. I saw some blood, too? What? Seriously? Yeah, they don't care. Okay, I guess I should have seen that coming. Of course you have the budget to investigate it. You're like the police. It might be important. What about those missing squirrels that live literally 50 feet away? Oh, that's why she keeps saying 50 foot away, because she's British. Uh-huh. Right. Ugh. See, this is why no one likes the... ACAB. That Trixie. That was... yeah, okay. I looked back to Nikita. Her expression was as sour as it had been when I started, but she seemed significantly smugger. The cops left a box of evidence outside the cottage, so I don't know why I thought that would work. I just didn't want to side with Nikita. Apparently they don't have the budget to reinvestigate the squirrels, and they wrote the abandoned cottage off because no one could live in a place with air that full of hallucinogenic spores. I mean, the cops in, like, real life are useless. I just thought I should try and see what happens. I paused for a moment, considering how that could explain the ghost. Which doesn't make me feel great about breathing it in for so long yesterday. There, I told you it was pointless. Now just keep it to yourself and I'll help you with your coursework again. Once I finish reading this play, naturally. Is that a deal, Smith? I felt wrong for not trying harder to get the police to check out that cottage. I knew it was selfish of me to ignore what might have been a huge deal, but I needed Nikita's help. I feel like realistically you should call, like, a journalist, like a local journalist who has a good reputation. That's just me. I couldn't face the idea of going back to my parents after fucking up my education and not talking to them for months. I let out an audible sigh. Whatever, as long as we're even now. Of course we are, I never lie. I wasn't sure I believed that. Well, I'm off to read this. I do appreciate your service, Trixie, as much as I hate to admit it. I'll draft your coursework for you in a day or two. You have to finish it yourself, though I'm not your mother. Nikita was being uncharacteristically nice. Maybe she was warming to me? Anyway, you should get some sleep. You look like shit. Or not, I thought, as Nikita marched out of my room, the king in yellow clutched tightly against her chest. Thanks. I stumbled back into my bed. Nikita was exhausting. Okay, sorry for sneezing. A buzzing woke me up a few hours later. Someone was calling me. I was groggy and confused, so no different to normal. I reached for my phone and through my blurry eyes I could make out Heidi's name on the screen. Hey, you owe me a job. I stopped when a bit of drool fell out of my mouth. I've never been good with naps. I need you to come to my shop at like 5 today. Don't bug out now, you owe me for that crowbar, remember? Given your obviously bullshit explanation, you don't want anyone to find out what you were... Given your obviously bullshit explanation, you don't want anyone to find out you were blatantly breaking and entering some poor innocent's house, right? She had seen through my lie. Great. Though it definitely wasn't an innocent's house, I didn't really want to explain that to her. Hey, no, rude. It was for urban exploration, actually. Oh, right, sorry. I just assumed since you were lying you were off to rob someone or something. Look, I just need your help, okay? You promised. I did owe her, and it wasn't like I had anything else to do. Besides, it would be good to get outside and distract myself for a while, even if I should have been working on my report. Okay, I'll help. Good, my shop at 7, don't be late, I have a taser. How is that gonna help you if are you gonna tase me if I'm late? How does that help? Okay. Everyone is so rude to me. I curled back up in bed, I was still pretty tired. I had half a day to kill until Heidi needed me, and I didn't want to sit here stewing in my own thoughts all day. Yesterday had fucked me up pretty badly whether I wanted to show it or not. I'd found a coupon for a free bottle of sugar rabies in my sock drawer a few weeks back, so I figured since I had nothing else to do I could head to town and use it. That sounds like a terrible thing to put in your... to drink, but okay. Anyway, the shopkeep let slip that the only reason Sugar Core was giving the stuff away for free was because anyone who drank a can lost an average of 3 teeth, so no way anyone was buying it anymore. I guess they were hoping people would risk a bottle for free and end up hooked on its dubiously legal chemicals. I knew better than to wrangle with that since I didn't have that many teeth, being a rat and all. Fucking capitalists. My phone's clock said it was almost midday and I hadn't really eaten yet. I figured I'd combine breakfast and lunch. I decided to call this new meal Lunch Fist. My thoughts were cut off when a familiar figure tapped on the window next to me. I recognized Greg, the small sugar glider from yesterday. I'd wandered past their bakery without realizing it. I guess my subconscious was telling me to get Lunch Fist at Greg's. Part of me thought they might be lacing their cakes with some kind of addictive substance because I really wanted more sweet stuff. I like Greg. Hi Greg. Hey Trixie! Are you here for some tasty treats? Yeah, I guess so. I looked around at the selection. The triple chocolate muffin I'd eaten yesterday had been really nice. I did kind of want to try something new, though. Let's ask for a vegetable roll. A vegetable roll would be nice. I need to keep an eye on my sugar intake. Haha. All my vegetable rolls come with a free... What did he say? That went by super quickly. Oh, I can't rewind back to that dialogue because it's auto-skip dialogue. I think that Greg said that I get a muffin for free. Greg scurried back behind the counter and placed the food into a little paper bag. Fortunately, I remembered to bring my wallet today. It's nice to see you again. Sorry the bakery was so busy yesterday. I could see it was making you anxious. Aww. It's a lot calmer today. Maybe. The auto-scroll stuff seems to happen like when people are being interrupted, so I think that it's like thematically appropriate to not hear all of it. The fact that 2 customers were considered busy made me feel slightly bad for Greg. Was the bakery not doing well? Oh, no problem. Sorry for being weird yesterday. It was kind of hot. I'd already fainted once and I get anxious about buying stuff. Greg laughed sympathetically. Oh no, I hope you're feeling better today. Here, have a bottle of water on the house. That should stop you fainting again. Greg is my favorite person. I felt bad accepting something for free given my suspicions about Greg's financial situation. Oh, no, that's okay, I'll live. No hiking in the sun for me today. Okay, well the offer's there. I wouldn't want any of my friends fainting. Their friendliness almost reminded me of Parsnip, although thankfully Greg seemed to be capable of conversations and had an actual personality. You seem to like cakes, Trixie. Do you make any yourself? I shook my head. I don't really do much baking or cooking in general, really. I basically just eat snacks and drink energy drinks. I probably have like 4 years left to live. Oh no, I hope not. Wait, look at his little hands, too. Or not he, sorry. They're so adorable. Like, look at this. Sorry. They giggled. Don't you like cooking? I don't mind cooking, but like, I have kind of a short attention span, so my food usually ends up burnt. That was a slight understatement. The fire brigade had been called twice since I started uni, thanks to me. Oh, you're the person who keeps getting the fucking fire department called over the popcorn. The popcorn in the microwave. My god. Nothing. We're on our way. We're just stopping at Greg's. Greg is adorable. That's really all that's happened. I used to bake bread with my parents when I was younger, but we just kind of stopped at some point when I got older. Aw, that's sad. Like, look at Greg! Why are they so cute? I'm losing my mind. Greg better not turn out to be evil or something. I'm gonna be sad. I used to bake with my dad a lot. It was really fun. It's probably why I ended up being a baker. You know, I could always use some help here. I could teach you to bake treats. I want to work with Greg! Ah! It was a really kind offer. I did want to learn baking, even if it was just another way to feel my sugar addiction. Oops. Oh, okay. Oh, geez, that's really kind. I feel like I just waste your time, though. I'm a bit of a fuck-up, and you probably don't need that when you're already having money. I trailed off. Greg seemed to see where I was going. I was worried I'd upset them, but they seemed to hide it. If you don't feel up to it, don't worry. I know tomorrow morning probably won't be very busy, though, so feel free to come along if you change your mind. I did like the idea, and Greg was really sweet. I mean, they're a sugar glider, so... Thanks, Greg. I'll think about it. Sorry, I'm kind of a mess right now. It's been a tough few days. Weeks. Years. No worries, just let me know if you're coming along. Would you like my number? I'd talk some more, but I have to make a delivery in a few minutes. They motioned towards a wedding cake. A lovely icing statue of 2 cute mice girls kissing sat on top. That's what I want. I want to, if I get married, I want the top of the cake to have me and my partner's personas on it, actually. Oh, sure, yeah. Greg passed me a business card. Great, thanks, Trixie. I better close up. I'll see you soon. See you, Greg. I waved goodbye and left the bakery munching on my food. I expected Belle would be at the Attic Mouse Bar down the road, and I figured I might as well give her a visit to waste some time before I met Heidi later, if just to show I wasn't ignoring her offer. This is a Greg fan club now, I guess. The Attic had a warm, friendly... Oh, the Attic Mouse had a warm, friendly atmosphere, and I was relieved to see their drinks were super cheap. Okay, I just want to live here. Like, you live in a very queer town and the drinks are affordable. Sign me up. By bar standards, at least. I walked inside and found it was pretty quiet, understandable really given the time of day. Belle was sat in a corner by herself with several glasses of alcohol in front of her. Oh no, Malice. I'm not really into alcohol, so I dropped 10 pounds on the bar to pay for my pint of cola and walked over to her. Hey. Hey, Trixie, nice to see you come along. Also, like, Bella's super cute, too. Sadly, no one else has. Haha. Oh, well, we pre-ordered the drinks, so more for me, I guess. She downed one of her shots. Oh, I mean, I'm not good with groups anyway. Do a lot of people usually show up? Well, there's Greg, who you've met. My pal. Your gal pal, or, like, your enemy? LaRose, an artist down Daffodil Lane Way. Wait, I know LaRose, the tall rabbit, right? Huh, no way. Nice lady. She hasn't turned up recently, though. She's, well, she ain't been feeling great recently. It's hard for her to find the energy to hang out, you know? There's also Heidi. She's cool, a little scary, but a great gal. She runs a shop here in town. Yeah, I met her yesterday too. Haha. Oh, she's more than a little scary though. Huh, she's all bark and no bite. She doesn't get along so well with Rose. They almost ended up glassing each other a few weeks back when Heidi said neo-punk biker art was better than neo-punk bohemian art. I don't know what either of those things are, so I don't think it was my place to mediate, you know? Jeez. It's weird how I met literally all of you by chance yesterday. Almost too weird, I thought. Haha, that is weird. We all know each other and now we all know you too. She took another sip of her drink. I copied her and sipped my cola. I felt a little awkward and just ended up staring at the TV in the corner for a little bit. The Prime Minister was giving a speech about sheep exit? I mean, it's like obviously a Brexit joke, but I don't know how to say that word. I rolled my eyes. I was getting pretty tired of hearing about it nonstop for the last 2 years. This is getting ridiculous. Leaving the Northwest Union just because its official sheep mascot but the Prime Minister's 4-year-old? That's so petty. Exactly, if she didn't want a kid getting bit, she shouldn't have let her roll around in grass and then go head a sheep. We both shook our heads and tutted. So you're like a milkwoman, right? That sounds kind of fun, driving around and seeing places all over. I don't get out much, so... Nah, it sucks. Oh. Mouse, are you okay? Not much traveling either anymore, I'm afraid. Oh, of course, when you were talking to Greg yesterday, you said you only go to North Acres now, right? North Acres, yeah. Nasty place. Mouse, if you have, like, super dry skin, it could also be that. Just because I have super dry skin most of the time now, although I moisturize. Nasty place. Why? She squinted at me quizzically. Oh, it's just like I study local history and stuff. North Acres is meant to be really good for that, right? It's kind of old-fashioned and remote despite being only a few miles from town. I've wanted to take a look around there, but it's kind of hard to get to. Couldn't find any buses that go that way, and no way am I paying for a taxi. Huh, yeah, they shoot down every proposal for a bus route. I think I might be the only outside interaction they get besides the postman. They're a weird lot. I try not to spend too much time there. She shrugged and took another drink. But hey, if you want to have a peep around there, you're welcome to come along tomorrow morning. Oh wow, I meant if it isn't an issue. Not at all, I could use the company. Not much to do on the job, and the boss says if he catches me reading magazines at the wheel again, he'll fire me. That is dangerous, Belle. Belle's phone buzzed. She took a look at it and sighed. Ugh, speaking of the great dictator. I gotta get going. Apparently the sheep have escaped from Daffodil Lane. Probably that kid opening the gate because it looked sad being closed again. She shook her head and downed the rest of her drink. I suspect I knew who she was talking about. Oh no. I better stick around. I still have some stuff to do in town. Well, feel free to shoot me a message tomorrow morning if you're up for a really dull adventure. She chuckled and added her number to my phone. Wow, everyone really wants to hang out with me. If this were a lame dating game, I'd assume they wanted to get in my pants. Fortunately, I kept my life very PG. Wasn't sure how much I believed that given recent events, but the slight hope nothing involving the kid and her stupid play would escalate beyond comic mischief and some rude language was reassuring. I don't play enough video games to get that joke, but haha, sure. I didn't mean to say that out loud. Anyway, I better get going. See you around, Trix. She strolled off as calm as ever. I finished my drink and sat around for a while, glad today had been full of distractions. I still wasn't ready to think about yesterday's events. Eventually, I knew it was time to head to Heidi's. I didn't want to be late, so she apparently had a taser. I have to admit I was slacking on my way to Heidi's shop. Drinking a pint of cola right before walking wasn't a great decision on my part. Sorry, I'm late. I'm here now. Please don't tase me. Ah, Trixie, I was about to call you. Good, thank you for coming. I was worried you might be a deal breaker. And then I would have had to tase you. I don't think that was a joke. Why do you have a taser anyway? Is that even legal? Probably? It's for self-defense, right? And good company on lonely nights. Okay, enough fucking around. We have a lot of work to do. She bundled me into her office. It was pretty small and completely cluttered with cardboard boxes. Okay, Trixie, you're gonna help me with my side business, spring cleaning. We're going to go through these boxes and sort the junk into these 2 other much bigger boxes. This is the stuff to be burned box. She kicked a generic wooden crate soaked in petrol. I chose not to question her health and safety practices and just tried to avoid breathing too much. This is the stuff that might actually be worth money box. She tapped a sturdy metal safe. Okay, so what kind of stuff are we sorting through? Like extra stock or what? Just like old antiques and books, nothing too important. Let's just get on with it, okay? I want to close on time. She dropped a cardboard box full of junk onto the desk in front of me. I stated rooting around in? I think that should be started. Rooting around in it and found it was full of trash, mostly dusty books falling apart at the seams and broken old antiques. But the more I looked, the more it became clear that some of the stuff might actually be valuable. I pulled a golden bracelet out of the box and blew the dust off it. And gripped onto it was a strange fish-like face with a single opal eye that seemed to stare at me. Geez, how much money do you make selling this stuff? Heck, where do you even get this stuff from in the first place? This looks expensive. Heidi shot me an annoyed look. Don't question it. So a lot and illegally. Got it. I chuckled to myself. Heidi seemed unamused. I carefully put the bracelet into the safe. As I sorted through the box, it became pretty clear there was a theme to Heidi's stuff. It was all in some way arcane. Old magic books, spooky scrolls, and even what seemed to be occult apparel on the bracelet I'd found earlier. Heidi, do you believe in any of this stuff? Monsters and magic, I mean. She looked at me for a moment, somewhat puzzled. Of course not. I've never seen any monsters or magic. But like, don't you ever get tempted to try out any of the spells in these books? I opened up one of the thick, dusty tomes and skimmed through it looking for an example. Before I could read anything, Heidi slammed it shut on my fingers. Hey! Ow. Okay, new rule, you don't look at anything for any longer than it takes to work out if it's valuable. Got it? I nodded. No, I don't believe in this stuff, but... Look, I'd like to keep it that way, okay? I've met people who like this crap and it messes with their heads. This stuff is best left ignored, okay? Ignorance is bliss. She got back to work. I envied her lack of belief. I hoped with enough time my brain could fully convince me that what I had saw the night before was just a heat, dehydration, and spore-fueled hallucination. I was gonna say hallucinogenic. It says hallucination, obviously. But I think even then I knew the truth. Heidi seemed to know that we were only inches away from madness and intended never to test that distance. We sorted through the boxes for a while. Most of the stuff was pretty interesting, but a few things caught my eye. I'm gonna drink more water. A copper amulet, a shard of amber with a strange ancient bug frozen inside of it. Some long-distant ancestor to a modern bee, perhaps? A manuscript detailing a ritual to summon rain. And at one point a Dungeons and Fungeons rulebook with Heidi's name on it, which pretty quickly grabbed off me and stuffed into Heidi's desk drawer. Dungeons and Fungeons. I'm sorry. I was getting pretty bored, so some of this stuff looked really interesting, but I knew Heidi would snap me at me if I tried to look into it. I knew it. Yeah, you know, how like we play with our group. Dungeons and Fungeons. Fortunately, there was a sound outside. Someone had walked into the shop. Heidi slinked over to the peephole in her office door suspiciously. Ah, it's a customer. Trixie, you take care of this stuff, I will deal with this schmuck. She walked into the shop, snapping at the customer for looking at something too strangely before the door closed behind her. I picked up one of the last items in the box, a small book titled Spiral Speeches of the Star Gods. Most of it seemed to be missing, but there were a few pages left. It sounded kind of interesting. Read it! Read it! I decided to use this chance and flicked through remnants of the book. Oh, why did I pick the option that has more reading? Spiral Speeches of the Star Gods. Across the world, hundreds of tablets etched with identical spirals have been uncovered by archaeological digs. Thanks to bird mythology, these are popularly known as the Star God tablets. Though there has been much speculation about these strange artifacts, the most obvious origin is clearly the humble sheep. Famously, every sheep is a near-identical spiral on their right front hoof. A strange evolutionary quirk. These exactly match the spirals seen in the supposed Star God tablets. As the Star Gods are without a doubt entirely fictitious, the most obvious conclusion is that the ancient societies would use sheep to protect this strange art, or to produce this strange art. Most likely these etchings were painted when originally created, but any evidence of this has long since faded with time. Of course, some old bird legends would suggest that sheep created these themselves by pressing their feet into the wet clay and allowing it to harden. This would make sense if not for sheep showing no signs of the creativity needed to create such art, let alone the intelligence to produce clay tablets. That said, anyone who has seen the footprints of a sheep can certainly agree that the process would be physically impossible for them, if unlikely. This may merely be a misinterpretation of the claim. It's entirely possible sheep were specially trained to perform the task, or had their hooves used as tools after death. While other bird legends describe the supposed star gods themselves creating these texts, hence their relevance to the tablets, though such stories are in the realm of fantasy. Well, the largest discovery of these relics were found in the Ash Islands of Oceania. Oceania? Sorry, I automatically pronounced it like a real word. Oceania, and would have fallen from the sky after being thrown into the air by the Great Dark Age Cataclysm. Sorry. This would make their original location, the Siberian Wastes, the supposed home of the star gods. Nevertheless, this theory is ultimately The pages ended there. The book had seen better days. It had been an interesting read. I threw it into the trash box. It wasn't long before Heidi was back. Sorry about that. Customers are a pain. Huh, you finished. Nice one. You looked genuinely pleased with me. You know, you didn't do a bad job. She seemed to think for a moment. Trixie, how'd you like to help me out again? For money, I mean. Your crowbar debt is paid. Oh, wow. I've never had a job before. Maybe? I wanted to help Heidi, if just to satisfy my curiosity about her strange inventory. But I also wanted to hang out with Greg or Belle. I wasn't sure if there would be time for that too. Okay, what do you guys think? This is reminding me a lot of Night in the Woods in terms of structure. Obviously there's no platforming, but the kind of sort of centering around who you decide to maybe to save. Oh. Haha, you're smart. Okay, which one should we try? I'm also not sure how many endings this game has. Greg is very good. I think that I can either hang out with Greg and Belle, or one of those and also Heidi. Okay, I'll do the second one. Sorry, Heidi, I've got some other stuff going on right now. Hey, no sweat, Trixie, you don't have to explain yourself. Okay, there's like a siren and also someone making lots of noise outside. And it's very distracting, so I'm just gonna let the sirens happen for a second. Okay. There was like very loud sirens and also someone like maintenance guys moving stuff around outside of noise at the same time, and it was very loud. Hey, no sweat, Trixie, you don't have to explain yourself. It ain't exactly the most exciting job in the world, ha ha ha. Right, I better start closing up. Thanks for your help. I'll see ya, Trixie. Based on the book that we just saw, I'm assuming that we'll uncover more, like, interesting things if we do this route, but I wished her a good evening and started the walk home to my bed. I could definitely use some sleep. I was walking past Wilbur Hall on my way to bed when I noticed Nikita fumbling with the vending machines. She was trying to pull off a bar of toffee melt out of the slot, but it seemed to be stuck. She gave the machine a frustrated kick and the snack fell out. As she picked it up, she noticed me watching her. Oh, hello, Trixie. Wow, you also look like shit now, so who's calling names, huh? I'm just on my way back to my room. I have to finish reading the... She seemed almost scared to say it. The King in Yellow. Yes, the King in Yellow. Nikita seemed skittish. Her usually tidy clothing was scruffy, her fur unbrushed, and her eyes flitted around the hallway frantically. Her constant fidgeting made her look eager to finish talking to me and get back to her room. It was like she'd just been for a spin in a tumble dryer full of caffeine. Are you okay, Nikita? You look kind of a mess. Have you been reading all day or something? Yes, I have, all day. Last night too, preliminary research. It has been an illuminating read thus far. I need to read a little more, but... Trixie. She grabbed me by the shoulders, pulling me close. I looked down at her scared eyes. I knew all too much about the reputation of the King in Yellow. I didn't want to believe it could have done this to Nikita, but... this wasn't right. Trixie, I need to make some notes, and, I need to double-check, read between the lines, but... No, never mind. We can discuss this later, when I'm certain. She let go of me. I better get back to my room. Yes. Good night, Trixie. She just sort of shaky fast walk away from me towards the accommodation block. Bye, Nikita. I was scared. Could this really have been the work of that play? I shook my head. It's had to be sleep deprivation. She'd barely slept in weeks with her campaign planning and coursework. I didn't like Nikita, but I was genuinely worried about her health. I figured I'd let her finish reading and get some sleep, then I could always make sure she was okay in the morning. Eventually, I got back to my room and collapsed onto my bed. It had been a busy day. I was planning to muck about on my laptop until I got tired enough to go to sleep. It was on my desk and I couldn't be bothered to get back out of bed. I remembered the book about ghosts I'd gotten hold of a few weeks ago. Oh, it was probably still on the floor next to my bed. I remembered it being pretty tacky. You know... okay. I know what you mean, Malice, but that's interesting for them. Okay, yeah, I hope your hand is okay. Peering over the edge, I could see it was. After my sighting in the basement, I thought it might be relevant. If I was going to stay awake a little longer, I might as well use my time productively. Before I could reach for the book, my phone buzzed. Tabby had sent me a message. That was unexpected. I don't speak to Tabby often, which is sad because I kind of wish we were friends, but I don't think she really notices me. I used to think she was kind of weird, but after last week I have to admit I'm taking her more seriously. I wasn't sure if I could handle a conversation with her right then, but I did think it would be kind of nice to talk to someone. Let's message Tabby. Let's meet someone new. Tabitha Knight. Hey Trixie, one of my Psyker crystals, the green spiral-aligned one, went missing. I was wondering if you'd seen it anywhere. Smiley face. Trixie, hey sorry Tabby, I haven't seen it. When did it go missing? Tabitha, no worries, somewhere today, I think. Someone today, I think. Trixie, oh no, I'll keep an eye out for it. Trixie, hey Tabby, do you know the King in Yellow? Trixie, not to bug you, just wondering if you're not busy. Smiley face. Tabitha, oh yes, the infamous haunted play. I know it, I can't say I've read it though. Why, you researching it or something? I heard that's generally a bad idea. Smiley face. Not to discourage you, I bet it would be great to study for next year. Ha ha ha, no, I'm not going to read it. I'm pretty sure it doesn't even exist anymore. I was just wondering if you knew much about it, Smiley face. You're a good student. Ha ha, says Tabitha. Well, I have to be if I want to be student union president next year, right? I read a few books on it in the uni library. Maybe you could get them out? The notes of Grand Inquisitor Wilhelm were really good for obvious reasons, Smiley face. Anyway, I got some sleep. Going to Woolfest South tomorrow in town. Gonna be super hot in my costume, lol. Woolfest, sorry. Not in that way, you cheeky rat. Winky. Open mouth, smiley face. Maybe you should come to a WoolCon with me someone. Smiley face, if you're into that. Maybe, smiley face, I'll let you get to sleep. Thanks, Tabby, I'll look out for your crystal. Tabitha is a woolly. Tabby is nice, but I don't really know if she likes me or not. She invited you to Woolfest, or WoolCon, or whatever it's called. I wasn't super keen on the idea of going to WoolCon. Dressing as a sheep and whiffing or whatever they do at those cons didn't sound super appealing. I'm not gonna comment on that. Regardless, it was time to sleep. I had a surprisingly pleasant, if somewhat strange dream. It was a clerk marrying Nikita to a giant toffee millet bar, and then I married the entire cast of Cyber Drake Cool Yass from Mars. Parsnip was there, jumping up and down and throwing confetti. Let's not get into it. Regardless, it was a welcome break from the horrid dreams I'd had the night before. I woke up feeling a lot better. It was pretty early in the morning, but I sent Nikita a message anyway. I didn't get a response, and I assumed she must have finally gone to sleep. I could check again tonight, and if she was still MIA, I could let security or the campus doctor know she was acting funny. That said, I knew she wouldn't do the same for me. I lazed around in bed for a while until I felt too gross not to shower any longer. Once I eventually somewhat functional, I decided to work out what to do. Can I just say that the idea of all animals being sentient, but one animal that's not sentient, and also the anthropomorphic animals are furries, but for that one species is hilarious, and I like that a lot. That's just, like, I don't know, it's really funny to me. Okay, should we go to Greg or should we go to Belle? I want to go to Greg's. Okay, someone be a tiebreaker. Pluto versus Goofy, but based on the fact that they're drinking sheep's milk in the first game, I think that the only unsentient animal is sheep. Okay. Let's go with Belle then. I thought about Greg's invitation. I did want to learn to make cakes, but I knew Belle was heading to North Acres today. Oh, I should have saved. That's okay. You can skip stuff. Given its reputation, I really wanted to see it for myself. I just hoped I hadn't left it too late. Then again, Belle didn't strike me as particularly punctual herself. I sent Belle a message and I suspected she was still drinking her morning coffee. She said she'd pick me up on the way to North Acres. I quickly showered and got myself at least vaguely presentable. Yesterday's encounter with Nikita all but forgotten. Belle turned up in her milk float a good 10 minutes later than she said she would be. It was a rickety old thing loaded with a surprisingly small amount of milk. North Acres evidently didn't get through a lot of it. Hey Trixie, hope I didn't keep you waiting, haha. No, not at all. Much. A bit. Well, you better hop on board. I hopped on board. I'll tell you to put that seatbelt on, but there isn't one. Tax reasons or something, the boss says. She shrugged. Still, this thing only hits like 30 miles an hour, so you probably don't need to worry about that. Come on, let's get going. I was starting to think this wasn't such a great idea. We drove along the main road for a while. I appreciated the chance to admire the view. Eventually, we turned off onto a bumpy countryside road. It was paved, albeit poorly. The milk float shook as it navigated the potholes littering the track. Hey, what's the matter, Trix? You look like you're gonna throw up. I probably did. I don't handle bumpy rides that well. I didn't expect the road to be so bad. It turns to dirt pretty soon, which is actually an improvement. I don't know what you expected, though. Haha. North Acres' reputation should have preceded it. You've gotta be about the only person who actually wants to visit North Acres. I tell you, if I could get the milk out of the... I tell you, if I could get out of the milk run there, I would. Haha, I mean, half the reason I chose to move to Blue Hill County was because there's so many interesting places to visit. Well, that and it meant I was a nice distance away from my parents. But I mean, like, North Acres has such a strange history and reputation, and besides that there's the lake, Standing Stone Burrow. Cyber Drake Coolias from Mars World, the best fan-made theme park for Cyber Cool Yod fans. Wait, Cyber Drake Coolia fans. So I hear. And I keep meaning to visit the old bird settlement in the woods, Ka Bree Tree. I've been kind of interested in bird history recently. Bree Tree, huh? Might be nice, get some of that old-fashioned learning done. I'm more of a street smarts gal myself. I know the name of every street in town. You got it in my line of work. I don't think Belle knew what street smarts actually meant, or she was joking. It can be hard to tell with her sometimes. Belle was right. We hit the dirt road and the float stopped shaking. We wound slowly upwards into the hilly North Acres. Well, that's not concerning at all. What a lovely poster. We eventually trundled into Ovington, the largest village in the area. It was about what I'd expected. Looked like it hadn't changed since the Dark Ages. The buildings were old-fashioned but kept in surprisingly good condition. It could almost have been mistaken for a normal old village, if not for the strange effigies hanging from every house. Each was clearly handmade by the occupiers, but they all depicted the same thing, an elongated prehistoric deer skull with a tangle of twigs for antlers. I like this guy. Is Malice here? I think Malice will like this guy. Long rags of black cloth hung from them like tattered cloak. I recognized the creepy things immediately as depictions of the antler tree, a strange woodland entity I'd read about in some library books about the local monsters and myths. North Acres is infamous for their worship of it. The details were fuzzy, but I recalled it being some kind of harvest god. Supposedly it had provided food for the region during the long ash storms of the Dark Age. Strangely, the area didn't seem to have any farms. No crops, no sheep, not even imports other than Belle's milk. And yet it still functioned. Creepy. Weird place, huh? It's like a history or something. Like a history? Yeah, old, right? Oh, yeah, it's pretty old-fashioned and creepy. I bet they all vote for the conservatives. Sorry, I'll try not to inject too much political commentary into my statement, although I'm sure since you all work for the university, you don't like the conservatives either. Thank you, Cody. Belle pulled up outside an old house. It was an impressive stone brick building, way nicer than the town's crummy modern buildings. I kind of wanted to take a photo, but remembered last time I did that my phone briefly got fire. Okay, Trixie, I'm gonna hand out the street's milk. You okay waiting here? Oh, sure, I'll wait. Plenty to look at, right? I was about to get another look at the poster when I heard the sound of smashing glass. I briefly worried a local had thrown something at us. The way everyone spoke about them didn't exactly endear them to me. I turned to see Belle, milk and glass littering the ground under her. Geez, Belle, are you alright? What happened? Haha, hooves, am I right? I'd been wondering how she would pick up the bottles with her hooves. Cows aren't exactly famous for their ability to hold things. Belle managed to get a hold of a few other bottles and made her way down the road. I noticed a poster in the building next to me. It was hard to make out with my eyesight, but it looked kind of interesting. I hopped out of the float. Looking around, I was glad the street seemed to be deserted. I think I'd seen, like, one local scowling at us when we first entered the village, and no one since. The poster depicted the same entity as the effigies decorating the area. All residents are invited again to the Church of the Flesh Mother. That's a little on the nose. August 28th, our Mass. Please bring gifts. Ew, Flesh Mother sounds a little natal to me. That's gross. No wonder most cults died out since we got the internet and people had better stuff to do than worship a tree. What are you up to, partner? Went for a wander. I thought I'd stretch my legs. Are you done already? No, I've only done the one street. We got a few more here. Then there's, Wilshire, Oak Hill, Millsmith, Millsmith on Drought, Millsmith under Hill, and Ovington Church up on the hill. Come on, let's get moving. We drove slowly between each of the stops. All of the settlements were largely the same, a few old houses, posters for the celebration, and strange effigies. With the heat starting to beat down on me, North Acres was somewhat outstaying its welcome. So what is it you study at university then? Like ghosts? Ghost houses? No, what? I mean, I wish. That sounds fun. No, I study regional history and culture, like local history and stuff. I read some books about Blue Hill history back in college and thought it would be fun to learn about. Sounds fun. What job are you looking to go into? I haven't thought that far ahead yet. Thinking's overrated. You should enjoy yourself while you're a youngin' before the world of work crushes your soul forever. I'm pretty sure Belle's only a year or two older than me, so I didn't really appreciate her calling me youngin'. We rolled to a stop at the end of the long driveway. A brick gate decorated by another one of the weird effigies guarded a long dirt path which winded out of sight. A plaque confirmed that it was the church overlooking Ovington. You okay to wait here, Trix? I gotta walk all the way up to that church to drop the milk off. Last time I took the float up, the path some old guy yelled at me for disturbing the dirt. Oh, sure, I can wait. Okay, that's good. I'm glad you're okay, Mouse. Belle climbed out of the float and grabbed a couple of bottles. This time she only dropped one. She waved to me, then set off up the driveway. I slouched in my seat. Today had been interesting. The weather was great, and it had been nice to get outside after the last few months of staying in my room 24 hours a day. So what did you do to your hand? Perhaps more importantly, after the weirdness of the last few days. Belle had vanished up the track by now. I had no way of telling how far it went through the woods. I squinted and thought think that even without my shitty eyesight, I wouldn't have been able to spot the church through the thick tree line. There's one of them. The thing is back in the screenshot. It just turned around to look at me, actually, the thing in question. We're talking about this little effigy on the left pole, which was facing left and now is facing to the right. Suddenly, I caught movement out of the corner of my eye. The effigy had turned to face me. Yeah! Had the wind blown it? I hadn't felt any wind. I shook my head. It was a creepy thing, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was haunted, but I was sure the wind had just blown it towards me. I sighed. This place was getting to me. I suddenly realized I'd grown hungry, starving, in fact. I hoped Belle would be done soon so we could get some lunch. Sure enough, she soon emerged from the gate. Sorry for the wait, Trixie. It's a long driveway. Oh, no problem. Want to get some lunch after the last few stops? Greg's? Greg's. We trundled along North Acres dirt roads a while longer, stopping at the occasional secluded cottage to drop off a bottle of milk. 1 second. Okay. I was thankful that Bill never had to walk off up any long drives without me. Thank you, Cody. Hey, Greg. Hi, Bill, Trixie. How are you two doing? But bad as always. I've been taking Trixie along on the milk run. Wow, sounds exciting. I ended up getting a bunch of cupcakes, and I think Belle got a coffee and like 20 vegetable rolls or something. So, Greg, I was hoping everyone would be down the attic mouse tomorrow night. You two want to come along? Oh, geez, I'd love to, Belle, but I have some stuff going on tomorrow night, though. Oh, anything fun? No, really boring stuff. Yeah, what are you doing? Greg's face blanked for like 10 seconds. I was about to ask if they were okay when they finally spoke up. Tax. It's almost the end of the tax year. I'm gonna drink 15 energy drinks and work out all my tax returns. Neither me or Belle knew enough about tax to really question that, though Greg's eyes floated back and forth guiltily and they looked like they might have been breaking out into a nervous sweat. I figured maybe they were fiddling with the books. Naughty. That's too bad, Greg. What about you, Trixie? I wanted to, but I thought I'd better check on Nikita. I was pretty pissed that I basically hate to become someone I felt responsible for looking after. Sorry, Belle, I have to do my coursework tonight. It's due pretty soon and I haven't really started. Greg is going to the WolfCon. That makes sense. Dang, that's a shame. Hopefully Heidi and LaRose can come along. Or it's just me by myself, again. Oh well, I'm sure I can hit on some cuties if that happens. She forced a smile. I think she was a little sad. Right, Trixie, let's get you back to uni. I don't want to get in the way of your degree. Haha. Oh, poor Belle. I was pretty glad to be back. It was getting way too hot outside. So, Trix, you want me to come out? You want to come out again? Just let me know, okay? For sure, Belle. Thank you for taking me today. It was really interesting. Belle gave me a wave and sped off as fast as her rickety float could manage, which was admittedly pretty slow. According to Poppygon.net, Cyber Drake Cool Yes from Mars was getting a reboot, so that was cool. I'm not sure if Belle is hitting on us or she just wants to be friends, because she seems pretty lonely regardless. Cyber Batwazor had a new design, somehow even hotter than the old one. Irrelevant, sorry again. That was some pretty exciting news, but pretty soon that night took a turn for the worse. I had a nice day with Belle and spent most of the evening online looking up information about North Acres. It was as sparse as expected, but nothing I didn't already know. Eventually I managed to get to sleep, only to be immediately woken up by knocking at the door. It was Nikita. She'd be shouting abuse at me by now, so who was it? Trixie, this is important. We need to talk. It's about the King in Yellow. My blood froze. I'd completely forgot to check up on Nikita, and by the sound of it, she'd deteriorated somewhat. I shouted a mess of words at her, my half-asleep mouth barely functioning. The knocking stopped. I managed to get my clothes on and open the door. Trixie, sit with me. She took a seat on my bed. The King in Yellow clutched in her hands. I was taken aback. Nikita always looked faintly repulsed by my hygiene. She would never normally consider touching any of my stuff. Nikita, are